when business gets hard, if you don't have a purpose, it's very easy to walk away from it. We nearly went bankrupt one year. Welcome into the family. You're now part of us, you're part of the community, get involved. So business isn't there without it. I don't believe a child or another person is a purpose. As an individual, you need to have your own purpose.
Your business will never reach its true potential without a really clear purpose. And as a salon owner, it's really easy to lose sight of why we started. We have a lot to think about, a team to look after, clients to retain, lots of bills to pay. However, when you have a clear purpose, you will be able to use that purpose to guide you in building strong foundations so you can grow and become a true salon CEO and gain back a little bit of freedom to step off the floor, to work on your business, maybe even spend time with your kids or finally take that much needed vacation. And with a clear purpose, solid foundations, your salon will thrive. It's inevitable, even in tough economic times. I'm very excited to have Edna from Ed and I today on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. And today we'll dive into finding your purpose as a business owner, navigating motherhood, and establishing the foundations of your salon. But really quick, before we start, I just wanted to say that this is our 400th episode of the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Well, that's crazy. It's a gift to have this opportunity to speak with some really amazing guests. And the podcast has certainly come a long way since the first episode back in 2016. And maybe in the last 8 years, I might have missed maybe 4 episodes. So that's 1 a week for 8 years. So I'm rather proud of the work that my team and I have put into this podcast. And so really, I just wanted to say thank you all for your support. And if you listen to the episode and think, oh, Larissa sounds like she's really talking to me, or you're thinking what I'm thinking, well, that's probably true because these have been my own war stories alongside some really good guests that we've had on the podcast. And now, Salon Owners Collective, as a team, we're on a mission to help salon owners break through their growth ceiling. Do you know, that place where you keep getting stuck and you can't get beyond 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. We want to help you break through that ceiling and become $1 million salon so you can live a life of more freedom and more profit. Like, you need to have both, not one or the other. So I want to share some simple yet really effective strategies to grow your salon and become a successful and profitable salon, but without the stress, without the overwhelm, and definitely no more 60-hour weeks. We are anti that. So thanks again for joining me, and especially joining me on this 400th episode. All right, thanks again. Let's get into the episode. Here is What's Your Purpose? Edna, thank you so much for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Really pleased to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So why don't we start with, for those that don't know who you are, where you came from, who are you, Edna? Where are you in the world? What do you do? And how did you get to be doing what you're doing?
Oh, I don't know how I ended up doing this if I think back, because my background is not what I do now at all. Firstly, I'm Edna Swart. I'm Auckland based. I own a company called Ed and I Body, which started off as Ed and I swimwear and a side hustle while I was working in the corporate financial world of banking. So very much, very, very, very different from what I thought I'd be doing growing up. But in the corporate world, it wasn't for me. I couldn't do the red tape. I couldn't do all the legalities and stuff and the politics. So I wanted to do something more that I was passionate about. And that's how Ed and I Body and Ed and I Swim started. It was simply a side hustle. And then as the business grew, so did like my passion, and I ended up leaving the corporate world, and Ed and I Swim eventuated into Ed and I Body over time. And yeah, now we're here 5 years into Ed and I Body, 7 years after starting, and still going. So something's working.
So just to get clear, this is your main gig, this is your primary source of income, this is the thing. Why don't you tell us, like, for those who don't know the brand, what is Ed and I Body and Swim? Like, what do you sell? What do you do?
Yeah, so Swim is no longer. That's now redundant. That's closed. We're purely Ed and I Body now. So Ed and I Body is a transformative body care and skincare system designed to support skin confidence and as many women and men as we can. The whole ethos behind Ed and I Body is to help skin confidence. And that comes from my own personal struggle I had growing up with acne. I had acne all over my face, back, legs, chest, and confidence was something I did not have. And I wish back then, because what we leant into, probably showing my age here, was we'd go to a supermarket and grab, I think it was Clearasil. I think that was something, whatever. They had like those wipes, and everybody loved those wipes, those alcoholic wipes. And that was sort of our skincare range we could choose from, was supermarket skincare. And if I look back, if I could relate to a brand like Ed and I Body today, where we're very innovative in the brands and the products that we're creating and the community we've created, I think things would have been a lot different. Um, so yeah, that's sort of our pillar that we stand on as Ed and I Body.
Okay, and is this what inspired you to get started? Like the journey that you've had and you're like, you couldn't find a solution? Tell us, like, from corporate to product, what was in your mind? What gave you the confidence to jump into business and create something? Did it come from self, your
Yeah,
own
so
problems?
it's always like a self thing. I think when it comes to business, touching on that, there has to be like a personal purpose behind a business. If you're doing it just for the money, it's highly likely it would be a very hard struggle, because when business gets hard, if you don't have a purpose, it's very easy to walk away from it. You're like, that didn't make me money, next. There has to be like a personal purpose there. So as I was in corporate, I started a swimwear line because I wanted to just get out of corporate. I just wanted to do anything. And I'm a beach girl. So I was like, let me create my own swimwear. That's how it just started, of just having a side hustle. When I started with swimwear, I was like, okay, this is fun, but this is not going to make me money. What am I truly passionate about? And that's where Ed and I the body care range started, before, during, always, after, because I thought, okay, let me create a cosmetic range that will help women feel skin and body confident in their swimwear. So let me help with the acne. Let me help with that while they wear their bikini, because that's something that I struggled with. So that's when the cosmetics started, about 2 years into the swim line. And then I thought, okay, well, swimwear in this country is like a 1 month thing. Like, that's pretty much what all you get.
That's true.
If you're lucky. So this is not really where my passion lies anymore. It was fun. Ignited me, the platform of understanding a little bit about business, but I'm really going to focus on what I'm passionate about and go into cosmetics and go into body care. And I was very sort of committed just to this bit of body care, because
Which is chin down, chin down.
chin down. Yeah, I was like, body care. At that point in time, because I suffered so severely with my face acne, I could only be able to relate with many out there around being very picky with what you put on your face. So I was a little bit scared and intimidated to walk into the world of face care, because of how we love and care. This is it. This is how you meet people. This is it. So I was really, really scared. And then 2 years down the track, we launched our very first, which many people know as morning coffee. It's our holy grail, and we have sold tens of thousands of this tube, because I spent so much time in creating. I probably think to this day, is probably my longest research and development product, because it was my very first one. And I wanted to nail it, and it had to be something that would replace my current. Anything with Ed and I that I come out with, if it doesn't replace what I currently have, or if it's not something that I would personally use, if it wasn't even my business, then I won't come out with it, right? It has to be all me. So then I stepped into the world of face care, and then it just grew. And that was very community driven as well, because I had my community say to me, why don't you do face care? Let's do face care. You should do face care. And I was like, okay, so there's demand. Let me try doing this. And after that, we then moved into internal supplements, because at the end of the day, I look at topical treatments and face care as the cherry on top to the health of your skin and your body. Topical treatment means nothing if you don't look after what you put into your system. This is an organ. It is literally, this is what you see from what you put in. And that's where the internal supplement started as well. I was like, that's all and great, but we've got to be holistic. We've got to look at this from a bigger angle. So, yeah, it's been a journey.
I'll say it's been a journey, and I love that it's had so many iterations, and new evolution. And I love that you're community driven, like the next inspiration has come from the demand from your customers. So let's talk about your community just for a moment, because that feels like it's a really big piece of the company and the product. Was that intentional to do that, and have you really worked towards that, or has that just come as a sort of a cult following of the product? Like, how did it come about?
I mean, at the end of the day, a business isn't a business without a customer, which I say customer, I call community. I'd like anytime somebody becomes a customer of Ed and I'm like, welcome into the family. You're now part of us, you're part of the community, get involved. So business isn't there without it. So it's your number one in terms of looking after them and understanding them and listening to them. As much as it is a lot of work, it is crucial with the development and the future of a brand. So for years, it's I think it just naturally migrated into the business in terms of we created great products. People were getting involved and talking to us about it. They were like, you should start doing this. So we were interacting a lot of time. We were just asking people as well through our socials, what do you think? What do you think? And so it just slowly grew. And now we've got really good, like on Instagram, there's community chats, and we've got all the people who are really, really sticky. They're all in there. And every single day, my community chat, it's just going off. People are just like chatting, like even simple things like, what are you doing on the weekend? Like it's become bigger than just a customer. And I love that, because anytime I have a question or I feel like I'm alone or I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing, it's like, well, you've got a whole team actually behind you that can help you. And so that's the most important thing, I think, is building that. And I think it's relatable too with salons as well. It's that is your bread and butter. These people that come in, they have to be sticky. They have to love what you're doing. They have to love your personality. And there's a difference between a business and a brand. Business is operational, right? That's very like, this is the things you do. A brand is a lifestyle. People buy into a brand because they're like, I believe that brand and what I'm buying is going to give me a benefit in the end, So that people need to understand, are you building a brand or are you building a business? Those are two different things.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because it's easy to say, try to build a relationship with my customer, but there's a difference between, having a customer and having a community. Like it might be subtle, but it's actually fundamental. And I don't think everybody can pull that off, So it's like, it's the secret sauce. So I think that's great. And articulating that between a brand and a business and being functional totally makes sense. Let's switch gear a little bit, Edna, because you are a reasonably recent mum. And I would love to just have a bit of a conversation around how that's changed your relationship with your business, how you do that on a day-to-day basis, changed you as a person. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, if I be completely honest, like I've never been driven to be a mum. I mean, there's many women out there that I meet, and they're like, oh, I'm just dying to be a mother, and I like, I've never been that. I've been a very driven, entrepreneurial businesswoman, and kids have kind of sat sort of in the back of mind. It's only until I turned 33, 34, I was like, I probably should. If I'm going to do this, probably need to do that. Right?
Just squeeze it in now.
You've got to squeeze it in somewhere, right? Ed and I has been my first baby. Aston has come along and he is now my second baby. Aston is not my purpose. I don't believe a child or another person is a purpose. As an individual, you need to have your own purpose. So I've got my own purpose in life, but Aston gives me purpose. And I think that's the difference. Like having him has given me more of a push, because I look at him and I'm like, you have a life that I did not have growing up. And I want that for you. I want better for you. I want you to have what I didn't have. And I want to teach you, and and I want you to be proud of me one day. So having Aston's been sort of just an extra push to be a better version.
Hey, me again. I just wanted to jump in and quickly say to you, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Now, let me ask you, are you listening to this episode and thinking, I need to find my purpose as a salon owner and start building a community for my clients? If so, I've got something really powerful for you, some powerful strategies just for you. The Salon Mastery Program is designed to help you implement the 100K career for your team. You'll learn how you can lead your team to achieve 100K careers. Like, we want to pay our team well and instill the 100K mindset and the 100K motivation. You'll master the systems, the processes to create a 100K career pathway that includes building a 100K day. If we want to know what a 100K year looks like, then we need to know what a 100K week looks like. We need to know what a 100K day looks like. We need to know what a 100K hour looks like. Ultimately, building $1 million salon. I'd love to invite you to come and join me for a complimentary $1 million strategy call. We're going to discuss your business, your role, and explore how you can grow your team and reach that $1 million mark, even when there's a cost of living crisis. So all you need to do is click the Apply Now button in the show notes of this very episode, and I'll ask you a couple of questions, and then you'll jump to my calendar and you can jump on a strategy call. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get back to the episode.
Operationally, day to day, it's been definitely challenging because time is of the essence now. And you don't realize until you're a mother how much you can do in a minute, right? When that child sleeps or when you're doing something, you're like, let's go. And all of a sudden you do more. I feel like I find myself more productive than I was earlier. I was like, back before baby, I was like, it's cool, I could do that tomorrow. It's like, no, no, no. Now you do this now because you don't know what you're going to have tomorrow or what's going to happen tomorrow. So he pushes me to be more productive. But the balance, definitely, I never quite understood mum guilt until we were in the moment. And apparently mum guilt never goes away. When I'm with him, I feel guilty that I'm not with the business. When I'm with the business, I feel guilty that I'm not with him. So it's at the end of the day, everything is balance. I've come to realize that I can only give so much to everything, and I'm not going to feel bad about it because I'm not sitting here being purposefully lazy or not trying, so I can't be hard on myself in that sense. I'm giving everything where I can, and I need to be content with that. And I look at him and he's happy and he's healthy, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing something right, and the business is still performing and it's still okay, I'm doing something right. But I have leant into my family. So my husband's mum comes twice a week. My business partner's partner comes in once. So for 3 days of the week, I do have somebody to look after him. So I can have 3 days from 9 till 3 of solid work. So I've got a 3-day week essentially where I kind of cram everything into 3 days. And then the other 2 days I balance. He'll sit with me and we'll do this and we'll play and that's what we kind of do. And now I'm kind of leaning into my weekends as well. My husband will look after him on a Sunday and I'll sit the day in the office. But the thing is, like, I look at it like it's a short chapter in your life that you feel like this right now. It's very short. So you just take it day by day. Like, don't stress too much. And, one day you'll look back and go, I wish I still had more of those days, when they're like, running around in the neighborhood with their friends and they don't care about you anymore. So, yeah.
Never a truer word spoken. I really understand what you're saying. One thing that I thought, having my second child, that I would have better perspective than I did on the first one was that this window is so short. Like, I went into that thinking, I know what to expect, it's just a short time. And then I got there and I just still didn't have that. I didn't have that perspective, how you so eloquently spoke of it. And it always felt sort of really long, and the nights were long because you didn't get any sleep. And now my eldest baby has moved out of home, lives with his girlfriend. I'm like, where did that time go? Like, in the scheme of life, it was such a short chapter. So you are very true. And I think if you can have the perspective that, like, this is such a short window in the scheme of life, there's plenty of time to do, conquering the world, because we can conquer the world and have the baby, but we need to have some balance, right? So I think that's great. The juggle is real. Um, okay, cool. What I really love is like that you've taken the leap. You've to launch out on your own. Like um, investing in a product like this, R&D is expensive. It's a huge commitment up front. So it's a leap of faith at some point. But now you're this far down the journey. What would you say? Like if you got to start over again, what would you, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently, or what would you say to somebody based on that who is wanting to start either a new side hustle, launch a product, start a salon? What words of wisdom would you give now with the perspective that you have?
Oh, there's just so many. Like, I've just the amount of money that I've wasted, and I think that was unnecessary now looking back. I think personally, there's a lot of things that you can do yourself that you think you can't. There's a lot of tools now that you can do yourself that you think you can't, and you have to hire somebody for. Like, I'm helping a girlfriend at the moment who wants to launch a product as well, and I'm going through this again for the very first time with her, and the things I'm telling her are things that nobody told me, right? Which meant I've wasted a lot of time and money on things that I shouldn't have. Um, so it depends. I think firstly, you've got to fundamentally know what you're trying to achieve with your business and your brand, right? That is the first thing. Like I said to my girlfriend the other day, she got caught up in, "Oh, I've got the logo and the colors are like this and it's really aesthetic and it's like this." I'm like, that's cool, but that is not business. That is not your, like, you need to move away from that. Cause I was like, what does your product do though? And she's like, "This is my tagline. It's this, this, this." I'm like, "No, but you still haven't told me what your product does." Right? So if I could go back, I'd love to sit down with somebody and someone have a hard word with me when it comes to business. It's like, what is the outcome of your product? What is the purpose of your product? Right? What is your purpose? Your personal purpose, why you're doing what you're doing? Nobody asked me that question. The other one is, what is the purpose of your business and your brand? What are you trying to achieve? Now I can stand in an elevator, and if somebody asked me that and they wanted to invest $1 million into Ed and I can say it into like 3 words. I'm like, I'm here to give women skin confidence. That is what I'm doing. That is what my products are doing. I don't need to tell you anything else other than that. The products will speak for itself. So it's being like really clear on what you're trying to achieve, and then you kind of like work backwards from that. It's probably number one. I really wish I knew that. Um, what else would I change? Yeah, like the simple things of, like, I'm saying, like, a lot that you can do yourself. Like now with like websites, building your own website, building communities, being your own face of your brand. Like, I wish I had more balls back in the days. Like, I hid behind, I didn't really want to like put myself out there. Like, founder driven businesses and brands are so more relatable. Put yourself out there, but be authentic. If you're not comfortable doing that, find someone who probably can be, or like someone who can work with you to do that, be it an employee in your salon that can be relatable to customers and consumers. Put yourself out there. Don't think that you need to spend so much money on building a website and all that stuff. Shopify is amazing. Klaviyo is great. Build your database. And the other thing that I really learned, because we nearly went bankrupt one year, which was the biggest learning I ever went through with the business, was if your pillars and your foundation aren't solid, your business can crumble. And when I talk about pillars, I'm talking about, there's this weaving operational, I don't even know if there's a word for it, but there's like this weaving operational system that sits under your business, right? That needs to be built correctly. The way your systems speak to one another. Like, does Shopify speak to Klaviyo? Does Klaviyo have flows to keep engaging with your customers? Like, if you went to bed at night, does your business still operate without you? And that's the question I had to ask myself back then, and it didn't. Like, if you walked away for a holiday, what happens with the business? What's in place? What systems? What's going on? And a lot of businesses don't have that. A lot of startups don't have that. But I feel like if you build it from the start, it grows faster and it saves you a lot of time and money and energy down the line as well. So I wish I knew that as well.
I really fundamentally agree with you there. Like I just have to jump in and go, that's, totally is number one. That is the whole sole purpose of Salon Owners Collective, and specifically Salon Mastery, is like build those systems so the business can work without you. And if you choose to work in your business, you do it because you choose to, not because you have to, because you're propping it up. Because one person cannot hold up a business. That's too high a risk. So I just think that is the money there. It takes a little bit of extra effort as you're building to do that and put those systems and processes in place.
Yeah, I think it's called the McDonald's model, eh? They were like, if you can replicate your business, like if somebody comes along and they want to franchise your business, can you do that? Can they just go copy paste and you can walk away? And I think I read a book on that a while ago and I was like, I don't think I can. And that gave me a lot of motivation to relook at the business because I did. I spent a lot of time in the business rather than on the business.
Being the business.
Yeah, and now when I keep myself in check every day. I say, the task I'm doing right now, is it for me? Am I working in it? Or because for me, I need to be working on the business. I've grown a team that can be working in the business. It's the reason why I've hired them for them to do these jobs so I can continue growing and scaling the business. It's like knowing that. So it's just, yeah, it's just the functions of the business and not and look, you live and you learn. At the start, absolutely you work in the business. You've got to get the things going and you've got to grow it first. But you'll know when it's time for you to like, okay, I need to step away now. We're not where there's like a lull. We need to like grow it now.
Good indicator is when you stop growing. Actually, it means we need to take a good hard look at ourselves and get out of our own way.
I totally agree. That's the lull. Like what?
Exactly. All right. What is a quote or a mantra or something that, keeps you moving forward, honest, on the right path? What's something you live by?
So I learned this when I was a rebellious teenager from a very special lady, still close to my heart today. She said to me, where there's a will, there's a way. And I've always had a very strong will, and things like in business, if you have doors closing and all this, and you get a lot of doors closing. I've always said, well, where there's a will, there is a way. And it's, you figure it out. And that's the thing of being a business owner is there's no time for an excuse of like, that didn't happen or why didn't that, like, we just don't. It's like, cool, done, move. There has to be another way. We have to do this. Find another way. Don't give me an excuse. Give me a solution. And if you don't get into that mindset, you can spend a lot of your time upset because things didn't work, or depressed that you spent all that money or you lost that money, and like you just don't have time. It's like, okay, we've learned, good, boom, move on. Like that's probably one of the things I've learned is just having that determined where there's a will, there's a way attitude. And the other thing I personally live to with, I think the bigger picture of like where I want to be in life and my goal is it's already happened. Time just hasn't caught up. And that's like my manifestation mindset because I believe like the power of the mind. Everything in your life is determined by what you think. And so if I have like a vision or a goal, I'm like, no, it's already happened. I've already got it. Time just hasn't caught up. I'm just catching up to time. And that sort of just gets me through as well. It keeps me purposeful in what I do and where I'm going.
I really love that one. Nobody has said that one to me before. I really like that. That's great. I might borrow that off you.
Yeah, right.
All right. What is a book, a podcast, or a community that you're in that you think all salon owners should to get their hands on as business owners?
I'm one of those really weird people who doesn't listen to podcasts or reads books. Like I find inspiration out of like what I see from other business owners. Like there's people that I take inspiration from, but in saying that, there's a couple of books that I've read in my life because somebody said to me, you have to read it. Like they forced me to read it because I think people are probably going to hate me for saying this, but I feel like reading books is a waste of time. Like I'm like, no, I could be working. So it's called Think and Grow Rich. And they were like, you need to read this book. So I'm like, okay, fine, I will. And ever since then, they've said to me, you read it every single year. And they're so true because that book is so full of mind knowledge that sometimes I'm blown away and I have to reread the sentence like 15 times just to sort of like grasp what they're saying. And you read it once a year and it sort of like resets you for that year. So that's probably the book that I'd be like, get it. It's your mindful Bible, I call it. I've got like highlighters in there and like notes and everything. Like it's full now, that book. So
I love that. That's really good. And I like the layer of read it every year and re-go over it. That's golden. Yeah. Because you never learn a lesson the first time. Like, I do know this, I just forgot. All right. I know people are going to want to find you, stalk you, and look for your products. Please give us your www and your socials.
cool. So it's EDNI, so ednibot.com, because we can't have the ampersand in there. And that's the same as well for our socials. The and has become an N. So EDNI body on social media as well.
Great. I'll make sure we have the links to all of those, including that book, in the show notes of this episode. Well, Edna, it's been a real pleasure connecting with you. It's so great to just see your journey, and you're just like the raw, honest version of you is really cool. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was good. Thank you.
It's already happened. Time just hasn't caught up yet. I really love that mantra. I'm going to kind of steal that and borrow that myself. I think having the mindset helps us stay true to our purpose. And because Edna is totally right, when business gets hard and you're thinking of selling, it's your purpose that drives you to keep you going, keeps you motivated. Use your purpose to help lay the foundations of your business, because otherwise everything just crumbles. I hope this episode has inspired you to find or reconnect with your purpose, start building that community with your clients, with your team, and really look at those business foundations. All right. Thanks again, Edna, for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. And if you're looking to grow to that $1 million step, then really step into your role as a salon CEO. And then just make sure you click the apply now. I've left the link for you in the show notes of this episode. Let's hop on a strategy call. Otherwise, same time, same place on the podcast. Till next week. Ciao for now.